Good morning or evening. Horn of Africa, governments, oppositions, and the quantum collapse of politics. This is from Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and narrated by me, Abebe. Part 1. The Problem Statement. Horn of Africa, governments and oppositions. You see, the Horn of Africa is in a state of profound disarray, not just because of failed governments, but because of oppositions that do not lead. In Ethiopia, opposition groups appear to be united. But look closer, and you'll see that these units is a reaction, not a revolution. They are bound not by vision, but by resentment towards the Prosperity Party and the leadership of Abiy Ahmed. Yes, the Prime Minister once welcomed exiles and opposition leaders home. For a brief moment, hope sparked, but it did not last. Have you ever asked why? Because their unity was never rooted in principle. It was the joy of removing TPLF, not the labor of building a future. Once the common enemy shifted, they fell apart. They all have their own agendas. They form alliances for temporary gain. They split as fast as they unite. This tells us one thing. Ethiopia isn't just starving for food. It is starving for ideology. The people are hungry in food. But the educated class, especially the elites, are starving for system of thought, for frameworks of unity, for ideas that actually work. My name is Abebe. I am an engineer with over 20 years of experience in high precision, high impact industries, including aerospace, biotechnology, and modular fabrication. I don't come from politics. I come from systems that must never fail. But I speak now, not as an engineer, but as a citizen of a nation in crisis, and as a collaborator in two movements, Ethiopian Hearts for Peace and African Hearts for Peace. These are not political parties. They are calls to consciousness. Now I speak directly to the intellectual class, especially those with PhDs, with platforms, with influences. Too many of you have said politics is dirty. That's not my domain. But when politics fails, it is not just theory that suffers. People die. Truth die. Nations die. So my question is simple. What are you doing? If you can write dissertation, I apologize, if you can write dissertations, if you can teach international law, if you can decode algorithms and genomes, but you cannot speak up when your country bleeds, then I will put your silence to shame. Shame on you. Anyways, I can describe Ethiopian problem as quantum chaos and structural collapse. Just be with me for a moment so I can get deeper. What's happening in Ethiopia is not just political. It can be explained through the laws of physics and engineering. In quantum mechanics, particles can exist in superposition. multiple states at once until observed. Opposition groups in Ethiopia are like that. They appear united until pressure is applied. Then positions collapse, revealing selfish motives, tribal loyalties, and fragmented goals. They are also entangled, not by purpose, but by trauma. They react to the same crisis, but not in harmony. They interfere destructively, like sound waves clashing into silence. Now switch lenses. Think like an engineer. Opposition coalitions are like structures built with low quality materials. They have no design, no ethical load bearing, no shared vision to hold them together under pressure, and so they collapse again and again. They are systems with broken feedback loops, no accountability, no learning, no correction. This is not leadership. This is failure by design. So yes, Ethiopia is starving, but not only for food. It is starving for resonance, for ideas that connect, for ethics that lead, for unity that is designed, not improvised. We do not need more opportunists here. We need engineers of vision. We need physicists of justice. We need citizens in every field to build the architecture of a future where we do not collapse. If we have knowledge, if we have skill, if we have truth, speak. Because silence in a time like this is treason against hope. Now we framed a national crisis as both a moral collapse and an engineering failure. Now, as any seasoned engineer or nation builder would say, if the structure is collapsing, don't just patch the cracks, redesign the blueprint. To do that, let's proceed in 3 parts, with precision and visionary intent. 1. System redesign goal. A united political architecture for Ethiopia. We are no longer trying to reform broken alliances. We are designing an entire new system that transcends ethnic partnership, rewards integrity and long-term planning, channels both opposition and ruling forces into constructive coexistence, prevents systematic collapse even under stress. 2 is investigation. Current opposition forces and their ideological vacuums is described as follows. When we examine Ethiopia's fragmented players, governments and oppositions, and check for ideology or lack thereof, apologies. When we examine Ethiopia's fragmented players, governments and opposition, and check for ideology or lack thereof, A. Prosperity Party, PPP. We find that ideology is neoliberal developmentalism, plus strong state control. The issue is it operates through propaganda, militarization, ethnic tokenism, and elite cooperation. No sustainable political vision beyond power retention. B. Let's take a look at TPLF. Ideology: ethnic federalism plus revolutionary democracy. That's the TPLF's ideology. The issue with this is ethnic-centered governance leads to fragmentation, not unity. Zero credibility after civil war. Ideology is obsolete for national healing. It's obsolete. TPLF, zero credibility after civil war. C. OLF or OLA, Oromo Liberation Front or Army, however you call it. Their ideology is Oromo nationalism plus self-determination. The issue with this is seeks power through regional control, lacks inclusive national vision, weaponizes historical grievances without future building design. And then we have Fano, Amhara resistance. Ideology is defense of Amhara identity plus survival. Issue: morally grounded in protection, but lacks political platform, operates in vacuum, no governance vision, no systemic blueprint for national unity. E. Other ethnic parties like Sidama, Afa, Somali, Agaw, etc. Their ideology is similar. They all have regional autonomy in their ideology. The issue is decentralized but disconnected. Underline this disconnectedness. Fragmentation increases with their ideology. None provide a framework for shared sovereignty or cross-ethnic reconciliation. In conclusion, none of these actors possess a unifying ideology. They all cooperate as defense systems, not design systems. So we have to have a new ideology. We need to design a new ideology. What I like to call it is unified pluralism. If I steal a word to please Prosperity Party, Madama, and add Bamawadadar, that's Amharic term, Bamawadadar. First, build a common vision in this design. Take Madamar, but add Bamawadadar. Just this is an example how we can unify different ideologies. Let us now propose a homegrown, tailor-made ideology, unknown to the world, rooted in our crisis, and inspired by physics, system design, and African wisdom. For now, let's call it unified pluralism. Please forgive me for giving that name. But at least this is what I think should be. But let's go deeper. What it means to me is unite not by similarity, but by synchronized difference with the core principles of unified pluralism. You understand this part? Let me repeat. This design, we call it unified pluralism. What it means is unite not by similarity, because we are not all similar, but by synchronized differences. Core principles of unified principles are as follows. 1. Ethical federalism, not ethnic federalism. Power is decentralized, but accountability is national. Whatever you are, whichever region you are, however you are organized, accountability must be there. If you are weak, a weak link will be broken, so you'll be replaced. Take into further scrutiny. Local governance serves cultural autonomy, not political separation. Let people live in the way they want to live. Don't bring your culture, religious, or whatever import or exported ideas. Identity is respected, but not weaponized. We said federalism because that's what this generation knows for now. Call it anything. Number 2, rotational leadership and shared sovereignty. High offices rotate among regions over 6 to 10 years. Shared presidency between civilian and moral legal council like council of elders, academics, and religious leaders. All of them are morally corrupt, but with proper guidance, they all can be corrected. And so this ideology we are designing promotes inclusion, lowers zero-sum politics. 3. Merit-based representation with ideological alignment. Every leader must declare allegiance to unified pluralism charter. Again, we called it unified pluralism for the lack of a better word. If you do, let us know. No one can hold national office without training in peace building, systems design, and history. Political education becomes mandatory for all parties. 4. Political system modeled after distributed systems in engineering. Distributed. No single point of failure is allowed. Decisions are made with redundancy, regional consensus, and fail-safes. Just like a distributed power grid, if one node fails, the whole system doesn't collapse. 5. There is truth and reconciliation as constitutional pillar. National healing is embedded in law. Every political actor must participate in a continuous process of truth-telling and historical reconciliation. If you dwarf Ethiopian history in 200 years, it doesn't make you telling the truth. Anyways, no party can run for office without showing how they have contributed to peace. 6. An institutional culture based on constructive competition. Opposition parties must propose real solutions, not just criticism. A percentage of national budget is reserved for opposition-led development zones to test ideas. We introduce the principle of compete to contribute. not to destroy. Meaning no need to war, no need bloodshed. So let's call this system Entegra, Engineered National Trust for Ethiopian Government and Reconciliation Architecture. This is Entegra. E, Engineered, N, National, Trust, T, for Ethiopian Governance and Reconciliation Architecture. Entegra. I love this. Entegra means integrated, engineered, and ethically grounded. Simple as that. It's not a party. It's a living architecture of governance. It allows government and opposition to exist in creative tension, but remain systematically interlocked, like a suspension bridge. Each cable different, but holding the same load. Let's celebrate this. If you do understand what I am saying today, and if you understand this is a turning point in our shared mission, Entegra, E-N-T-E-G-R-A, is not just an idea. It's a system born from suffering, forged by truth, and engineered for peace, justice, and endurance. Now, if you walk with me like master engineers, even if you are not, because you understand the problem, although it is more engineering-like, you can see where we are going when we analyze the failure of Ethiopia's current system, pinpoint the structural cracks, and lay the foundation for Entegra, E-N-T-E-G-R-A. The Engineered National Trust for Ethiopian Governance and Reconciliation Architecture. Entegra. E stands for engineered, N for national, and T trust, E Ethiopian, G governance, and R reconciliation, and the final A architecture. Entegra. In part 1, I like to emphasize on the failure analysis, what collapsed and why. We treat the Ethiopian Constitution and the state structure like an engineering project that has failed under stress. The whole nation is stressed out. Diagnosis 1. TPLF's design, ideology without consensus. The 1995 Constitution was engineered by one actor. TPLF dominated by Marxist revolutionary ideology. It prioritized ethnic federalism, giving power to identity rather than to shared citizenship. No national systems engineering was done to test whether this structure could withstand long-term pressure. Result is an unstable design, vulnerable to fragmentation, resentment, and secessionist exploitation. Example is Article 39. Diagnosis 2. Loss of load-bearing institutions. The Emperor Haile Selassie, is gone. The Marxist Derg, Mengistu Haile Mariam, is gone. The TPLF's military ideological dominance, too, is gone. Now the Prosperity Party, once an attempt to unify, is structurally fractured, tribalized, and corrupt. There is no longer a central pillar holding the roof of the state. The result, sadly, the nation is held up by empty symbols, not strong institutions. Power flows towards those who can manipulate fear, not those who can build systems. Diagnosis 3. No ethical load distribution. You see, the current structure concentrates power vertically, but does not distribute ethical responsibility. Citizens feel alienated. Opposition groups are reactive, and leadership fails feedback loops. Result is stress accumulates in the system. When crisis hits, civil war, famine, displacement, the whole nation buckles under the weight. Diagnosis 4. No mechanism for systemic healing. No constitutional space exists for truth, reconciliation, collective memory, or national therapy. War trauma, famine trauma, ethnic trauma, these have no exhaust value in the current system. So the result is pressure builds in silence. When people explode in rage or despair, the system reacts with violence, not healing. This is part 2. Entegra Foundation. Engineering peace from the ground up. The engineering motto is design for stress, build for failure, recover with dignity. Pillar 1, truth as a structural element. Truth-telling becomes a constitutional duty, not just for government, but for media, education, and elders. National Truth and Memory Archives, created for documenting war crimes, famine, mismanagement, and disinformation. Engineering analogy for this is like placing strain sensors inside a bridge. You monitor early cracks to prevent collapse. Pillar 2. Ethical load distribution. Every governing body must share power with local civil society, youth councils, and independent oversight groups. Introduce redundancy of ethics. No decision is valid unless passed through 3 layers: constitutional, moral, and practical review. Engineering analogy for this is a load-bearing structure with multi-point stress distribution, preventing single point of failure. Pillar 3. Fail-safe, rotational leadership. National leadership is rotational, regional representation, guaranteed by design, not just by election, including leadership, training, infrastructure. Any candidate for office must go through non-violent governance certification. This can be described in another way in engineering analogy. It's like a backup generator, okay, if you say so. If one region leaders fail, the system automatically shifts to another node. Pillar 4 is peace as a precondition not a promise. All parties, ruling or opposition, must agree to the peace mandate. No party shall gain power through war or threat of war. No region shall be governed without consent. You see, peace building becomes part of a school curriculum, job requirements, and national celebrations. In engineering analogy, a firewall system. This is a firewall system. No actor can operate politically without passing peace-based identity checks. Pillar 5. National coexistence grid. We need to develop a digital and physical coexistence map. Regions connected through shared economic, educational, and social infrastructure projects. We must build inter-ethnic cities, shared farmland, mixed governance zones. We need to develop these as a modular systems. Each module be able to be connected to the other. In engineering analogy, like designing a redundant communication grid. Even if one region fails, others remain connected. Part 3. The Entegra framework. Let's name and position these 5 fundamental components we discussed above. Entegra, pillar, purpose, engineering function. Truth core, embedded truth in governance, stress detection and early warning. Ethical load network, decentralized responsibility, multi-point failure resilience. And then we have rotational leadership system that prevent monopoly and ethnic dominance, auto-balance power shifts. Peace mandate protocol, no war gains legitimacy, security firewall. Coexistence, grid foster shared purpose, interlinked resource sharing infrastructure. In our final declaration, the king is gone, Marx is gone, TPLF is gone, Prosperity Party is fractured, but Entegra is rising. This is no party. This is a framework for survival. It is not imported. It is engineered from our scars. Now, peace begins not in the mouth of politicians, but in the blueprint of justice. I thank you very much. And again, my name is Abebe. I'm an engineer myself. This is my language. If you understand it, it's great. If you listen to my voice so far, which means you don't have short-term memory or a 3-second attention. Your attention span is longer, which means it is good. Thank you very much.